I mean, that's tough.
I think there's a
I think you got to go get
question.
Garoppolo, guys.
That's what I said. The serious thought with Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. And I wouldn't have said this beforehand, but looking at those games, you got to have somebody give you a chance to win those games.
I mean, you're lucky if Brissett goes 2-3 in those last 5. You're lucky.
What do you? I know that this is stupid to do, but of the 11 games, what's our optimistic best case scenario
With Brissett?
Yeah, if it's Brissett, and then we'll do it if it's Garoppolo.
6-5.
Is the best case scenario?
I
that
think
you see?
7-4 is the best case.
I think I'm pushing it with 7.
I
What
agree.
about what
I
if
agree.
Garoppolo comes over though?
Then I get a little better. I think the best case with Brissett is 6-5. I can't see it being, and I think that's even pushing it a little.
Well,
I agree with you.
And the number 11 in my head means 6. And under the old collective bargaining agreement, 6 games counts as a season, which
Yes.
means he's
Right.
$10 million on the cap this
Right.
year,
Yeah.
$55 million on the cap
Yes,
next
definitely.
year.
Which means Garoppolo
Which
is
means
just about a non-starter.
You'd have to renegotiate.
You have to renegotiate Jimmy.
Which, if you're him, wouldn't you want to play for the Browns?
It's Baker
did
all
to go
over
to
again.
Carolina,
It's Baker all over
but he
again.
didn't take a huge haircut to do it. I mean, he took a couple million off, but Garoppolo is still going to be a mammoth number for next year. I don't know how that manages.
Well, maybe you get the Niners to take some of the money, like the Browns did, because they're looking to move on from Jimmy at this point.
well, no, but it's about the cap. It's not about
It's
the
about
actual
it's about
cash.
what you're rolling over
It's
from
about
this
what
year
you're
to
rolling
next
over
year.
to next year.
They've
and
got
that
40
number,
some odd million as of now, I think. I haven't looked. I think it's right
You
around
worry
40.
about the cap next year. You got to stay in the mix.
But
you
Bull,
got to worry about
to that
it.
point, Jason, you step in here. You know way more about this than any of us. I know that, and that's been your philosophy all along. Don't worry about the cap; you'll figure it out. There are some things you can figure out. This is an astronomical number for 2 guys that play the same position.
irrelevant. You gotta
and
try to
only-
win.
It's not irrelevant, is it? Am I wrong?
I don't think it's irrelevant, but I think you have to sit
here.
down. You have to sit down and have a really hard conversation.
How do
right
we
now.
figure out this
It's the
Rubik's
Browns.
Cube?
You got to try to win.
here.
I agree.
Watson's
You have,
playing. He will play this season. We know that for sure.
I don't know that you keep Jadeveon Clowney and Amari Cooper bought in if you're trying Jacoby Brissett out there for 11 games.
I don't see how you do.
You have to. You
No,
have
no,
to
no.
go
The
get
play he's
Garoppolo.
talking about.
No,
How
yeah,
do
yeah,
those
yeah.
guys stay
Yes,
in the right
no,
frame
I'm
of
saying
mind?
that's why you have to go get Garoppolo.
I tend to agree.
Unless
Okay,
there's some
so-
other name we're not thinking of.
There's no other name.
Let's
Drew
throw
Brees.
this. There really isn't. Let's throw the numbers out for next year. Watson's cap number for next year.
For this year or
No,
next year?
I'm talking about next year because I know this year, of course, is manageable.
$10 million this year.
Okay, but I'm talking about next year because when the
55
Browns
million.
are doing these
But so
deals,
you renegotiate with Watson. You change his money for next year.
Yeah.
wait. Why would he be motivated at all to do that?
Why? He's got the same guaranteed money. You just alter the way you pay it out.
Yeah, but it's still. I don't think you can do that at this
It's
point.
kicking the can down the road. I don't.
Yeah, and I don't think you can even do that at this
I
point.
don't. This
think the
early
union
into a
would allow
deal,
it.
I don't know. I haven't been around the NFL long enough
Guys,
to know.
I don't think we can worry. I can't worry about
The
it. right
Ivy
now.
Leaguers.
I don't give a crap.
These guys
about
are
the cap.
mathematicians.
I have to win.
But
But
Andrew
you're
Berry
sounding
and
like
Paul
a guy
that.
that's going to the grocery store that has no budget.
But you won't have no budget because there's always a way around the cap.
But Andrew
There's
Berry and Paul
always a way.
DePodesta have to worry about next year. That's
Yeah.
why they're in the positions that
That's
they are.
exactly
Okay,
right.
They're
but you
always
got to
looking
worry about
next year.
winning right now.
But it
I agree
makes
with that.
Yeah.
The fan that screams and yells that I don't care what it costs, you can't operate that way. You just can't.
But here's the thing.
He's smart enough to figure it out.
They
Let's
are.
go.
They are smart enough. If anybody is capable of doing it, it is them. They hang their hat on this. They are the analytics team, remember? Let's figure it out. Now, it's about this year. It comes down to this. Baker took less money. Jimmy G will probably take less
I think he would
money.
take $4 or $5 million less. It's not about the payout, though.
Yeah.
It's about the penalty on the cap.
All right, well, let's assume Berry could figure it out. But in terms of making the team better,
It's a no-brainer.
it's a no-brainer.
Oh,
you got to go get Jimmy Garoppolo.
You have to improve at that position now because I think everybody here agrees it would be an overachievement by this football team, if everything we know now, if they could come through this 6-5 with Jacoby Brissett. I don't know that anybody thinks that that's.
But are they looking at this as, hey, let's go 5-6, 6-5, we're still in the hunt?
Yeah, but the problem with 5 and 6, I was talking to someone about this the other day because I assumed it was going to be 10 to 12. And I was playing it out and just say you have 6 losses when he comes back. And I was saying 10 games. But we know now it's 11. You only have 5 games left, even if you win all 5 of those games. That's not rubber stamping you to the playoffs.
It's not. And that's an awful big assumption
It is a
because
huge
Deshaun
assumption.
Watson
And you
hasn't played in 23
And you got to
months by
ramp
now.
them up.
Right.
You got to change your offense up
Sure.
again. It's
Here are the 6 games Deshaun Watson will play. His first game back, you mentioned, against the Texans is December the 4th on
That's
the road.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I know.
His
And that's That's going to be a W,
game,
you would hope.
His second game is in Cincinnati. Third game, Baltimore at home.
Oh, my God.
Fourth game, Saints at home. Fifth game, Commanders on the road.
Win.
Last game, Steelers on the road.
I think
My
the
goodness.
Commanders is a trap game. I don't like that game.
All the other ones, you can easily see them losing.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
even if Brissett goes, let's say Brissett does go 6-5, which I don't think he will, but let's say he does. You'd probably have to go, 5-1? Get to 11 wins?
At minimum, you got to go 5-1.
You probably get into 5-1.
Bull, you're
Probably.
talking about the AFC. You're not in the NFC.
I hear you, but that's 11 wins. I think
Yeah,
11.
and I mean,
I think you're probably in with 11. Probably.
10
Definitely with 12.
10 is a
Probably
crapshoot.
with 11.
11 is the old 10.
Which you usually got in at 10.
There was a
Usually.
season where the Browns won 10 games.
I
and
hear
needed
you,
it.
but more
It
often
happens.
than not, you get
I
in
know,
at
but
11.
the reason I say it's troublesome is because this isn't usual. This is an AFC that is so ridiculously stacked with talent. I don't know that 11's going to get you
Right,
in.
but
I don't
7
know that
teams
anybody
make the
can say
playoffs.
that.
I think 11 probably gets you in, my opinion. 11
I
probably
would
gets
agree
you in.
that it's probably more
So
likely than not.
So,
So if you come through at 6-5, you got to go 5-1
which
through
is
that
very
gauntlet.
tough. I think you can with Watson against that schedule.
Remember,
but it would be
at
tough.
that point,
He'd be
would
very
have been,
rusty.
He would have been 23 months between his meaningful snaps.
Yes.
I mean, you talk about coming back. It's cold. It's in the middle of the winter. I mean, he's coming back. I mean, he hasn't played.
He's
not,
never
And by the way,
played it.
that's
He's not
if
gonna be
they
in a
go
faci-
6-5, which in my opinion they won't.
He's
with
not
Brissett.
going to be.
I
in
think
the
they go 5-6.
He's
with
not
Brissett.
going to be in the facility. He can't. They can't just give him the
he can
playbook.
come back to the facility after, I think, is it 8 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know the exact week, but he can. Right.
A few weeks before the suspension is over, he's allowed to start.
Yeah. I'd
integrating
play him
with
in the
team
preseason,
again.
by the way. I'd play him a little more in the preseason.
You would.
I would.
Would you play him Sunday now?
I would.
No, I would not, because you're not going to put him out there behind the second string offensive line, and you don't want to risk playing the starters because you already just lost your starting center. I'd sit him. I wouldn't play him
I
anymore.
don't think you can play
There's something I
scared
wanted
of
to bring
getting
up
guys
with you
getting hurt.
guys because
Yeah.
this is going to be his new reality. I had a buddy of mine who was covering the game in Jacksonville, not a Jacksonville reporter. He was covering the game, and he said he asked me if it came through the TV how much he was getting booed, and I said no, not really.
Oh,
I mean, I commented on it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you can hear the boo. He goes, in the stadium, it was deafening.
they were chanting, "You sick bleep."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sick bleep.
And he told me, he said, this is small potatoes compared to
It's
what he's going to see.
Jacksonville.
He said it's the worst home crowd in the NFL.
Yep.
Right.
It's a preseason game. And he goes, honestly, it's in the top 5 most offensive crowds I've ever heard. He's been covering sports for over 20 years.
Right.
So as I thought about that, I'm like, now his first experience back in the league is going to be in Houston.
By the way, if you're a real player, you love that.
Yeah, who
love
cares? I don't
yeah,
care.
but
You want all that smoke.
But I asked him if he felt that could explain away his performance.
I actually think Houston is a good spot for him to play.
Yes.
He's comfortable in that stadium. The Texans are going to
They're
be
not very good.
The Texans will probably be awful. So there'll be a lot of Browns fans
He'll be
there.
motivated, and
Yeah.
he'll come out.
And it might be
ready
a
to
great
go.
confidence builder if he comes out and throws for 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets that out of his system and he's ready to go.
We'd all rather him start
I got
earlier,
two things
but-
real quick. First off, you want to know how that guy who has literally 12 followers broke the news?
Yeah.
The NFL accidentally posted the statement on their website at 11:30.
Which is why they didn't want the
Give the
league.
guy some
which
credit.
is why they didn't
What's
want
his
the player.
name again?
Hey.
Is it accidentally or they just dropped it out there and didn't say a word? Whoever sees
Well-
it, sees it.
Well,
I don't think they accidentally posted that.
Yeah.
well, it was
I
before
think that
anyone
was
else
their-
got it. It was before anyone else
Well,
got it. Also,
hey.
Leroy's going to hop on in a few minutes to
All
help
right,
break
Mikey,
this
what's
down.
the guy's name again?
Kudos to
Give
him.
him some credit.
Joseph, I'll give him his credit. He deserves it because he was the first one. His name is, as I pull this up right here,
He's the new Adam Schefter.
Joseph Pastoris. He had 12 followers. When the news broke, he's got 1,600 right now.
What do you make of that, Jason, that they dropped it on their website at 11:30? And by the way, that's when the Browns players were supposed to talk.
Was that a middle finger to all the people that was leaking?
I think it was.
It could have been.
I think
yeah,
it is.
That's I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
I've never heard of that either because this is probably
Well, you know
one
what?
of the most anxiously awaited announcements in a couple of years from the league.
Yeah.
And they drop it there,
Yeah.
and they leave the room,
Yeah.
and they say whoever wants it can have
There
it.
it is.
Peace
And,
out.
I mean, when LeBron went to the Lakers, they emailed out a statement to all of us from Rich Paul and from Clutch, LeBron's going to the Lakers, and that was it. And where wasn't any big leak or no reporter had
Right.
it. But, I mean, this is obviously
This
way
is the
bigger
league.
than that.
Yeah.
And
By the way, guys, sorry, go ahead.
No, go
Jason.
ahead.
I was just going to say, He has to undergo professional evaluation
saw
by
that.
behavioral experts and will follow their treatment program as part of this agreement.
Very good.
And Goodell in the statement was basically like, Deshaun's finally shown some contrition and blah, blah, blah. I don't think he said finally, but that's what it
Well,
alluded
I
to,
think
but-
that was a part of it. When he
Yeah.
talked to the media, I think last week, it seems like it was 100 weeks ago.
Yeah.
One of the things that he mentioned was the fact that Sewell Robinson said that he didn't show any contrition, hadn't seemed to shown any remorse.
And then magically he shows up
and
before
then,
a preseason
and then a
game.
few days later, he's apologizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those who haven't, or just maybe joining us, 11 games and a $5 million suspension.
Are you happy? Are you not happy? Are you okay with the $5 million number? I thought it would be bigger.
Yeah,
I thought it'd be bigger.
yeah. I don't really care about the fine, but I did think it would be bigger. I agree with you
I
guys.
thought it would be 8 games, $10 million.
Yeah, honestly, even though it stinks that he's missing 11 games, I am excited that we will see him at some point.
I
this
think
year.
Browns fans all are excited.
You know, it's not
It's not what we had hoped for.
right, but it's better than. I think at this point we were all like, it's going to be 12, so at least it's one less
There
game
was
than that.
still fear. Once the commissioner said we want a year, I
Right.
think a lot of fans were like, and
done for the
that's
year.
when Jim Donovan told me that the mood at camp was like, oh no.
Right.
I think a lot of fans were like, we're not going to see him this year. What do you got, McNuggets?
Got a couple things here. First and foremost, we have rescheduled Boobie Gibson, so we'll
Yep.
get him on
Okay,
next week. But
great.
we're going to spend the rest of the show and probably go into overtime
Right.
talking about Watson, breaking this down from every angle possible. We have a ton of new people who haven't tuned into our show before, so this is your first time. Please subscribe, hit that like button, hit the notification bell. We will continue to break down this Watson stuff until nauseum. So it is what it is. And I got a couple questions for you guys as we go through this.
Go ahead.
$5 million fine, 11-game suspension. We're going to get Leroy in here after we answer this question.
Right.
Is this a win for the Browns in totality? Is this a win for the Browns?
Because he plays this year,
Heck yeah.
I think
this is resounding. And I'm going to give you a
I don't
reason
know
why.
about resounding.
No. It's resounding because they could. Watch this. You could have had this dude gone for indefinite.
You also could have had him
time.
after 6 games.
Hey, but listen, indefinite or 6 games. There's a large group between indefinite and 6 games, and you have to go back, and you have to reinstate, and you have a cap situation we don't know. I think it's a great.
Resounding win for you?
Yes.
I wouldn't agree. I don't agree with resounding. I
Right.
call it because when the Judge Robinson thing was announced,
That was a resounding
on
win.
that day,
Yeah.
if you told me he's going to end up being suspended 11 games, I would have been disappointed.
Yeah, that would have felt like
when
an
I
L.
woke up this morning, if you told me he's going to be suspended 11 games, I would call it a win based
Yeah.
on how I was feeling
Sure,
this morning.
right.
I didn't think he was going to be suspended for the whole year, but I wasn't sure. And so the fact that he's going to play 6 games this year, and they have a chance to stay in it and give him a chance to put them in the playoffs. And if they can get there, they'll have a chance to win it all.
Yeah, well,
that's what
look,
I'm
if it
excited
plays
about.
out that way, yes, a resounding win. Right now, as you look at the schedule
Yeah.
and you play that stupid game that we play, LLWLW.
Right.
Well, at this point, it doesn't feel like a resounding win to me. I will say this. I think it was when I was home last week. I said I think what we're going to have is a number financially and games that neither side loves, but both of them can live with. And I think that's exactly where we are. I don't think the
Certainly
league
the
is
game,
celebrating
sure.
this.
Yeah.
I know that the Browns and Deshaun Watson are not celebrating this, but they can live with it and move on. The biggest thing is we're talking about football now. Again, finally.
I think if I'm the Browns and Deshaun Watson, I'm happy it's over, and I'm happy he's going to play this year.
And
it's
that's
not
true.
perfect,
No,
but I'm
right.
happy it's over, and I'm happy
That's
he's
why
playing.
I think it's more a win than an L.
Yes.
This doesn't feel like a win to me.
It doesn't?
Not
Why
at
not?
all. Because now you were looking at 6. That felt like a win. So 6 to 11 does not feel like a win. Now you've got all these more difficult questions to answer about what do we do at quarterback.
No, that's true. It does bring up a whole new set of
It does
problems.
not
so
feel
was
like
it a
win.
push for you?
It's a push at
Because it
best.
doesn't feel like
But
an
it's
L.
better
not a
than an
loss.
L.
It's not a
better
loss.
than
Right,
an
I
L.
agree
It's
with
not a
you.
loss.
If anything, it's a push,
If
but
you Deshaun Watson and you could have been out of here forever, you taking that and you getting on your
well,
magic
he's
carpet.
never going to be out of here forever.
But listen, this indefinite.
Hey
to
guys,
me
we
means
got
indefinite.
Leroy, and we
Let's
got a
bring
couple people
Leroy
we got
in
to
the
shuffle
mix.
through. So let's get
right.
Leroy in.
Leroy, you got this as a win, a loss, a push. What's your first reaction?
For Deshaun Watson, it's a win. And here's why. The amount of games sucks. The $5 million fine sucks. But it's over. Okay? And I think from the start of this, the only thing Deshaun Watson wanted to do was get past this and move on. So the fact that it's done, that's the part that he's happy about.
Yes, no doubt.
The penalty, it was always going to hurt. But here's the thing we all have to consider. I mean, when you think of what the league wanted to do and who they appointed to do it, the fact that it's only 11 games is something that I don't think anybody saw when the league appealed and appointed somebody to see the appeal. Right? So when it ended up being 11 games, I'm like, not the best situation, but from the standpoint of the Browns, from the standpoint of Deshaun Watson, however difficult it is, you know what's in front of you. You know what you have to do. You can get past this and you can move on. The fact that it's done. But the fact that Roger Goodell was going to have the final decision and you only end up with 11 games when he was talking about a minimum of, a year and a substantial fine, it's going to hurt. You're going to feel a little pinch, but you got to move on.
When you look at the schedule,
And I say this, and I tell everybody this. Whether you agree with the penalty or not, okay, there's a bunch of things in place here. One, Deshaun Watson put himself in this situation. Guilty, innocent, or whatever. Okay? And the whole situation, however you look at it, whether he thought he did anything wrong or not, falls on him being in that situation for us to now sit back and judge or determine what happened or didn't happen. As far as the league, the reason why I think they kind of just wanted it to be over with too is simply because, look, how do we get past somebody who we both appointed, giving him 6 games, and we say, no, we want it to be what we want it to be? That would have long-lasting effects on the relationship between the players and the league. It would have. If they had come out with all that has been done and said, we don't care what Sue Robinson said. It is going to be a year at the least and a substantial fine. Every player in the NFL was going to say, what was the point? What did we agree to? So from the standpoint of the league, the standpoint of the players, let's just put this behind us and move on. I can't necessarily say it's too stiff or not stiff enough, because the one thing I can't get around
That's a personal
is
problem, Leroy.
we don't know what happened. See, whenever you have one side of this in a civil portion of this, whereas they're trying to set the situation up to get as much money as possible, because criminally nobody would charge him. And once you get in that situation, the situation is going to get much uglier, and it's going to seem much uglier because they're trying to make the situation look as bad as possible. Then the NFL chimes in and they're reacting to the civil case, and they're trying to, use that to determine how bad this situation was. I don't necessarily know where I stand on it, simply because the whole thing that got lost to me was what actually happened. What went on? Because my first question would have been to anybody, well, how many times did you see Deshaun Watson? How many times did you go to see him? Was this just a one-time deal? Or was it several situations? And I would have more questions.
Leroy, let me
So,
just jump in here.
you know,
Oh, sorry.
ahead.
Let me just jump in. Yay or nay, should the Browns go after Jimmy Garoppolo? Fill in until he's back.
No, for this reason. There's still too many unknowns about Jimmy Garoppolo. And you're willing to bring a guy in without a lot of questions that need to be answered unanswered. For example, how strong is his arm? How healthy is he? We saw what a quarterback looks like with a bad arm last year. You would hate to put the other 50-plus men in a situation where you bring in a quarterback who's not healthy. So this team is built on a couple of things. Defense and running the football. You don't need a superstar to win games, although you will need an elite superstar to win a championship. So if they stay on task and understand who they are, they can still win football games. It might not look as good as it would look with Deshaun Watson, but that's the game that everybody plays when their star quarterback gets hurt.
Leroy, the question
Thanks,
of the day,
Leroy.
and this will be the last one before we let you go. We're going to ask everyone this. I know it's absurd, but let's say it's Jacoby Brissett. Where are the Browns in Week 13 heading into the 12th game, Deshaun Watson at the Houston Texans? What's their record?
I'm a guy that's a little more positive and bullish on the Browns in general. I think one of the reasons why they struggled last year because they put too much on Baker Mayfield's plate. Like, if the team doesn't identify what they have, how can they go about setting up a game plan just assuming that Baker is okay
Right.
when clearly he wasn't?
Right.
So, but now you go into a situation, you fully understand that you in let's hang in there mode. Let's not put Jacoby Brissett in a situation where he's got to go out and win a game and put him in the same situation that we would put a Deshaun Watson. And everything's going to be a little different. That being said, if you can run the football and play defense, you can play anywhere on this planet.
So what do you got them? 7
And
4?
they do both
6
of those
5?
things quite well. So I'm looking at 7-4.
All right, we'll take that. I think everybody would take that. I think that's a wildly optimistic.
I mean, you have to
prediction,
understand,
but we'll take it.
Jay, this team is good.
I know it's great.
Don't worry about the quarterback.
Well, it is a
The
quarterback.
quarterback
Right.
makes him. The
Bulls-
quarterback
Bulls
makes him a
convinced me that
contender.
You can't win a Super Bowl without a good quarterback. And for the
Can't.
first 11 games,
But they'll have one week 13.
Here's the issue. There's going to be moments, and there's teams that have gone to the Super Bowl and have won Super Bowls that didn't have elite quarterbacks.
Games change.
But there's going to be 10 or 15 moments in December and January where everybody's going to look at each other on the sideline, in the organization, and in that stadium and go, do we have the guy that could go get us one?
hopefully at that point they do.
Right.
Hopefully. Hey, we
Thanks,
got to go.
Leroy.
Didi's in the wings. Leroy, thank you. We appreciate it. 7-4. I don't think there's a Browns
All right.
fan on the planet that
Oh
wouldn't
my
take
God!
7-4.
Everybody would sign for that. Now,
I'll
guys,
tell you what.
Here's the
Go
Watson
ahead.
statement for what it's worth. Quote, I'm grateful that the disciplinary process has ended and extremely appreciative of the tremendous support I have received throughout my short time with the Browns organization. I apologize once again for any pain the situation has caused. I take accountability for the decisions I made. My focus going forward is on working to become the best version of myself on and off the field and supporting my teammates however possible while I'm away from the team.
Deshaun is
I'm
going.
excited
Go
about
ahead,
what the future
sorry.
holds for me in Cleveland. Go ahead.
Deshaun is going to address the media shortly.
Yeah, and which I think now we know why they postponed the
that's right.
availability at 11:30, as expected. They knew this was coming. I wonder if the league told the Browns, we're just going to drop it on our website at 11:30 and see what happens.
Here's
and,
from
and
the
that's
Haslams.
exactly what they did. Yeah, the Haslam statement was just up
okay.
on the screen as
All right,
well.
yeah.
Nothing earth-shattering
No.
from that. Everything that Deshaun said, I think, is what we would expect him to say. What time did it give us a time of when he'll talk?
I think within the next probably 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, because I know we're waiting for Aditi, but Aditi likely isn't going to be able to come on with us if she's going to be at the Watson availability.
Aditi said, and read this into however you want, I can come on right now. It's only going to get crazier in a few minutes.
Bring her on.
So,
Bring her.
well,
Yeah.
we're waiting for her to hop on now, but this
Okay.
was as she was waiting in the wings with Leroy.
Yeah.
So
All
we'll
right.
get her on as soon as we can get her back.
Okay.
But that is
What
Now,
does that mean?
Is there like, how do we get into this Watson sound?
legally we can't. Legally we cannot.
It's a news conference.
We got Aditi though. Hold on. We got Aditi. So let's
This is absurd.
pump up Aditi. We have her. She's ready.
Aditi, what can you tell us?
I actually think I need to tell you I'm seeing a hubbub under the media tent right now, so it appears that somebody is coming to talk to us.
It's Deshaun.
It's Deshaun.
what I
It is
can
Deshaun.
tell you-
Yeah, we were just informed that he's going to talk within minutes.
Okay, so then I need to go, guys. I'm really sorry. I'll try to come back. I can tell
Nope.
you quickly that I knew that this was in the works since the weekend, that the league really wanted 12. He didn't want more than 10, and this was finally, all right, let's just meet in the middle. But I got to go, guys, all right?
All
I'll
right,
talk to you
Aditi.
later.
No, thank you. That's good information. I mean, we all kind of speculated how they got to that number. I said they halved 6 and 17. Apparently, they have 12 and 10, and that's how they get at 11. I'm curious to hear how they came with the financial element. I thought most people, I think, thought it would be bigger than $5 million. But
Can I speak to our fans for a minute?
please.
Folks, there's still going to be some members in the media, and there's going to be fans from other teams that are going to rip the Browns and rip the league. Don't fight with these people, and don't be a phony. Let's not be like every other fan base. See, the fans in the and local media who are ripping you and ripping the Browns would not be saying the same thing if it was their team. Just like we're all hypocrites with this situation, right? Browns fans crapped on Ben Roethlisberger for all those years for what he did. And so as a Browns fan, let me just say this. Accept that Deshaun Watson's not a perfect guy, that he did some things that were inappropriate, that he's been suspended, but it's over. So don't start fighting with everybody that's saying it should be a longer suspension, because it is what it is. The process is over. We know he's going to play, if he's healthy, in the 12th game, the 13th week. So stop arguing with those people. Don't make yourself look bad by trying to defend Watson that he should be completely innocent or
No one
exonerated.
needs to defend
whatever.
him.
You don't need to defend
He's not a
it.
friend.
The decision's been made. All the crying and whining from other fans and media is not going to change. This suspension is done. It's set. Don't argue about it anymore.
And here's what
Let
I
it
say,
be.
the criticism piece of it, who the hell cares?
Right?
If a
Stop
media
worrying
member
about
takes
that.
a shot at the Browns, it won't be the first time.
Who cares?
We didn't select Deshaun Watson to be in our circle of friends.
Right.
He's not a family member. Those are the people that you defend.
Right.
Family members and friends. You didn't have a choice about this.
No.
It was thrust upon you by ownership.
That's right.
Now that he's a member of your team, of course you're going to root for him.
That's
you're a
right.
fan.
You don't need to apologize for
No,
him, but you don't need to defend him
and
either.
you know what? When you engage those people,
Yeah.
you come down to their level.
Exactly.
Just,
Don't
you know
do
what?
it. Let it
Tell
go.
them, you can have whatever opinion you want of the Browns and Watson. It affects me not at all.
That's right.
I had
And
nothing
they'll
to
be
do with
on
this
to the next
decision.
story tomorrow or the day after that.
And here's how you can end it.
Yeah.
Be careful the stones you throw.
That's right.
Because your team may have one of these next year.
That's right.
Next
And-
week.
And I don't want to hear from the radio people in Pittsburgh, or they fine, or
who
they
cares
we can hear
what
from
they
them.
think?
Say what you want. You didn't say it about Roethlisberger. I'll admit everybody's a hypocrite about this situation. That's fine. Don't apologize for Watson, and don't make excuses for him. Just enjoy him when he comes back on the field.
We got in this industry because we talk about football. There's a lot of people who enjoy football that may not even understand what the ins and outs of football are. At the end of the day, we talk about the X's and O's, people that's playing on that field in between the lines. I don't got no time for doing Jerry Springer tabloid TV 45 hours a day. You guys, people will say what they want. At the end of the day, he got what he got. It's 11 games, 5. Don't jump on Twitter and talk about, well, he could have been more. Listen, we've already went down this whole rabbit hole. At the end of the day, it's about the games. And now we get to talk about the games.
Yeah.
For all those other people that want to stay on the outside and talk about it, I don't got no time for it.
Yeah.
Just be honest.
And now the question is, we've talked about we all think the Browns should go get Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, there's some things that need to be worked out with the cap. But do you guys believe they will go after Jimmy Garoppolo, or do you think they're just going with Brissett?
I don't see how they do. And again, I know you guys want to ignore the cap. That's the elephant in the room.
It's not that I want to ignore it. I just don't really.
Well, it's a big
That's
component.
Andrew Berry's job to deal with it.
Right.
I think he can
But
figure it out.
There are certain things you would agree to this, that you can't figure out.
Sure,
This
but
feels to me, you have two quarterbacks making franchise quarterback money on the same roster next year, or at least counting against your cap.
Right.
We're assuming Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to take a concession to play for his team.
No, I'm not. I'm assuming that he will take a small one. He's not taking a big one.
I don't buy they're not trading for him for cap reasons. I don't buy that.
Well,
I think
here's
if they
the
don't
other
trade
reason,
for him,
Bull.
it's because they don't want him, not because of the cap.
Or, Bull, to your point, you said if we have a chance to win a Super Bowl, we got to upgrade from Brissett.
Yeah.
And I think Garoppolo with this roster can do that.
Yes.
Okay. But you also look at the situation and what the first 11 games are.
Right.
And where you would have to be to bring back a quarterback who's got 23 months worth of rust on him, and you're going to ask him to go 5-1.
I am. It's a
get
lot
this
to
team.
ask.
It's a huge ask.
It's a lot to
so
ask.
It's entirely possible that they've done this math. I think they've probably been preparing for any equation that comes down the pipe.
Yeah.
And now that they know what it is, I'm sure they've already had these internal discussions. They're not now scrambling to figure out what we're going to do. I have to think that there probably was a voice in the room that said, guys, if we got to go 11, even with Garoppolo, what's the best case scenario in that? And what's the best case scenario when Deshaun rejoins the team in week 13 after 11 games? If they all agree, this is a big mountain to scale.
Everything. So I'm apologizing to everyone that was affected about this whole situation.
So Deshaun, was this more about moving on with your career than contrition? From your point of view, this resolution, the settlements, the disciplinary process, settling that, is that all about just trying to move forward for you?
Everything. Just my whole life just have to be able to move forward, and that's the plan. You know, I have to be able to move forward with my career, move forward with my family, with my personal life, and everything.
Deshaun, the last time we in counseling that you have to go to, if you don't, feel like if you stand on your innocence the way that you do, what can you accomplish by the counseling and treatment?
I have to grow as a person. I have to be able to communicate and talk with people. I have to continue to, know each and every situation so I don't put myself back in the situation that I was just in. So I have to continue to just grow as an individual. My whole outlook of just myself as a football player, but also as an individual, as a human being.
Your first game back would be Houston. How do you feel about that?
Right now, that's down the road. Right now, I'm focusing on getting ready to practice against Philly, and just focusing on being the best individual and getting myself back in shape and getting ready and prepared for that moment whenever it comes.
Well, Deshaun, last time we talked to you, I know you said you weren't thinking about settling. I guess what changed between then and getting those settlements done?
Like I said, I have to continue to move forward with my life and with my career. And, things happen on the legal side that you got to continue to just keep pushing forward and moving.
Deshaun, if you maintain your innocence, is this punishment unfair?
I can't speak on the fairness. I only can really control what I can control, and that's throughout this process. The NFL did what they had to do, and the NFLPA, communicated with the legal side. Like I said before, I focused on being out here, being the best teammate and football player and quarterback I can for the Cleveland Browns, and I let the legal side handle this.
But you must have an opinion on whether it was fair or not.
Of course, everyone has their own opinion, but I think, for my peace and my sake, I'm going to keep my opinion to myself.
Did you think this was starting to wear on the team, waiting for this to come down and your availability?
Honestly, I think from my experience being in that locker room, I think the team was focusing on being the best teammate in Cleveland Brown that they can be. So I know that, guys was, of course, probably thinking about the situation, but at the same time, we were all focused on, being what we can and building that chemistry as the Cleveland Browns and getting ready for the season.
There's one civil lawsuit left. Are you pursuing a settlement there?
I can't get into the real details on that, but I'll let my legal team continue to handle that.
What changes to massage therapy will you now make as you go forward with your career professionally? Because massage therapy is an important part of being a professional athlete. So what changes there will you make to ensure that anything like this does not happen again?
We have a plan as an organization, and we just got to keep, attacking that plan and pushing forward and making sure we're all on the same page.
Deshaun, you're going to take a lot of heat for I stand on my. I'm sorry. You're going to take a lot of heat for I stand on my innocence. I mean, I'm already seeing it all over social media. So, what is going to be your response to that when the world comes down on you for standing on your innocence throughout this process?
Well, I have to do what's best for Deshaun Watson at the end of the day. And I know what happened. I was in those situations, but I have to continue to push forward and keep moving forward. And, and that's what.
Deshaun, what's your reaction to when you got the bruise or kind of that reaction from some of the fans? Does that affect you?
No, ma'am. I didn't have a reaction. You know, fans are, you know, they're able to respond how they want to respond. And, you know, I can't really control that. So that's their environment. You know, my job is to go out there on the field and make plays for the Cleveland Browns.
Sue Robinson seems to believe the accounts that the NFL presented in that hearing. She used words like egregious. How do you square what she wrote in her ruling, what she thought happened with your belief in your innocence?
Yeah, I know who I am. I know what type of person I am. I know the character of person I was raised to be, and I've always been. So that's the biggest thing for me is continue to show who Deshaun Watson really is, and the people that meet me and that's around me, they'll figure out who I really am too.
Why do you think she saw it one way or saw it differently than how you see it?
I can't speak for Miss Judge Sue Robinson. I can't speak for her.
How do you feel about missing 11 games with your new teammates? How does that make you feel?
I mean, it's a tough situation, but at the end of the day, I have to continue to make sure that I'm around as much as possible as I can be, and just continue to put in the work and let, you know, support the guys that's around, support this team. You know, I know these guys are going to do very, very well. We're all professionals. We all here to do a job and to accomplish a goal, and that's win games. And I know the guys in that locker room are going to do that.
Deshaun, I know Coach Stefanski before had kind of talked about he thought you were doing the work to become a better version of yourself. I know you've talked about counseling, but what else does that entail for you in the future, and what else have you been doing since you've been here?
Just continue to be in the community, continue to show my face around and show the people who I really am. You know, counseling is definitely a big part of that. You know, I can't get into details of exactly which counseling that is, but, you know, at the end of the day, I have to continue to show my face and show people who I really am, especially in the community that, you know, I just became, you know, a citizen in. So I have to continue to do that.
Deshaun, are you confident that there will be no more accusations forthcoming?
Yeah, I can't speak on that, you know, too much. Like I said before, you know, all these things that kind of came forward was surprising to me. But, you know, I just have to continue to push forward as a person, as an individual. And, yeah, that's
Did you have the opportunity to lessen the suspension by agreeing to a heavier fine?
Like I said, I have no idea. This was my legal team and the legal side, so my main focus was to come out here and just make sure I'm participating and doing the best I can as a Cleveland Brown on the football field.
Deshaun, to clarify, I just want to clarify what you said earlier. What I heard from you is you saying that you still maintain complete innocence, never did anything wrong to disrespect anyone, and you settled the suits and agreed to this punishment more to move on with your career, with your life, and that kind of thing. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'm moving on with my career, with my life, and I'm continuing to stand on my innocence. Just because, you know, settlements and things like that happen doesn't mean that a person is guilty for anything. I feel like a person has the opportunity to stand on his innocence and prove that, and we proved that on the legal side, and we're just going to continue to push forward as an individual and as a person.
Both the commissioner and Sue Robinson used the term predatory to describe the allegations made against you, and in her findings, she used that as well and said that she felt you had a sexual purpose for recruiting these massage therapists. How do you respond to those public allegations?
Like I said before, I can't remember who asked that question earlier, but I know who I am as a person. I know how I was raised. I know how I interact with people, and that's what all I can do is continue to prove that and show people that. And people that don't know me, whenever they do come in contact with me, they will know that.
Can you be around? Could you know the rules of the suspension? Can you be around the team? Can you play in these last two games? And when during the 11-game suspension, can you be here?
I think we're going through that process. I don't know the full detail because everything just happened today. So I have to get with my organization and my legal team and see what can happen.
Last one here. Mary Kay, go ahead.
Mary Kay, go ahead. Point, Deshaun, since you stand on your innocence, will you come forward and tell your whole side of the story so people understand why you believe you are innocent?
That's definitely the plan. That's definitely the goal. I feel like through this whole process, we've been trying to tell my side of the story, but a lot of people wasn't able to, or didn't really pay too much attention to it. But one day we will. Only time will tell. And like I said before, just continue to keep being the person I am, keep showing the community how good of a human being I am. Have I always been, how I was raised, and I just want to continue to show that and keep pushing forward.
Deshaun, what do you
Thank
think
you.
of the play?
Thank you. We're good. Thanks.
Jimmy talking right now? No, it's like.
Okay, a few brief comments and then we'll take questions. I think we've said from the outset that it was really important for the Cleveland Browns to honor the agreement between the Players Association and the NFL, and to, no matter what the outcome is or was, to respect that. And so we're going to do that. And we're not going to comment on anything Judge Sue Robinson said or her decision, nor are we going to comment on anything Commissioner Goodell said, because we don't think that's appropriate. At the same time, I think we as an organization realize how sensitive this is, how emotional it is to all kinds of different people, how a lot of people have been affected by this situation, and we take that very seriously. Since Deshaun came into our building in April, he has done everything we have asked of him and more. And he has been the person, the leader that we expected him to be. I think he understands where he is in his life. It's a pivotal point, and we as an organization are going to do everything we can to help him not only be the best football player he can be, but more importantly, to be the best person he can be. And we're going to support him in every way possible during the suspension and during what will hopefully be a long career with the Cleveland Browns. I also think it's important to remember that we've got a lot of other really good football players that are going to practice today at 2 o'clock against the Eagles. Today and tomorrow play an exhibition game, and in about 2.5 weeks kick it off against Carolina. And we have a talented team. We have confidence in Jacoby Brissett, and we're looking forward to going forward.
Jimmy, when you...
So with that, we'll take some questions.
Right.
Did you want to say anything?
Yes, I'm sorry. I just want to say that we have, as an organization, we have, and as individuals, we have tremendous empathy for the women involved. And we have an opportunity now to make a difference in this community. We're going to invest $1 million to go towards educating youth for awareness of sexual misconduct. So we're going to work really hard on prevention, and we're looking forward to getting involved and getting started on that.
Back in March, when you guys first made the trade,
Tony hit the first question.
Sorry about that.
It might be the same question. When you traded for him and signed him to the contract, did you ever expect it would get to this 11 games out?
I don't think we had any way of knowing. I don't think anybody knew how many games Deshaun might miss. I mean, we didn't know definitively till today, okay? I think it's important to remember Deshaun is 26 years old, okay? And is a high-level NFL quarterback, and we're planning on being our quarterback for a long time.
Jimmy, looking back at your 5-month investigation, did you find his behavior to be egregious or predatory, or would you disagree with that assessment?
You know, I think I said from the outset, we're not going to comment on anything Judge Robinson said, so...
I'm just asking if you thought it was egregious or predatory.
Yeah, I don't see any positives in commenting on that.
Do you think
are you comfortable with having Deshaun on your team? Sorry, are you comfortable with having him, being around him? I'm sorry.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%.
When you made the trade back in March or whatever it was, March, April, you both said, we vetted this guy, we investigated, we looked at everything about him, we liked what he is as a human being. Since that time, so much more came out, other lawsuits, other accusations. Would you make the same deal today, and if so, why?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Yes, we would. And we mentioned at the time that our process was thorough. We felt like we made an informed decision. Understand why others may not have made the same decision that we did. But we do believe that Deshaun has strong positive qualities, and we do think that he's done everything in his power to integrate himself with our team, done everything that we've asked, and we do believe that as he goes through the self-improvement and self-growth process, that he has the opportunity to make a strong and positive contribution to our team and our organization.
Do you still think it was the right decision to not talk to any of the women during your investigation?
Like I mentioned at the time, we were following the advice of our legal counsel, and that's something that we would always do.
What about the women that didn't file criminal complaints or sue in civil court? There are a lot of women that have made accusations that have not done either of those.
Yeah, and Jake, as I mentioned, we were thorough. We did make an informed decision.
What Sue Robinson? I understand you guys don't want to comment on what the commissioner said and what Sue Robinson wrote, but what was written and what was said was pretty damning. And so how can you square what was said and written in a very public forum with, we're not going to talk about it, we're just not going to comment on it?
Daryl, I think we're aware that the transaction has elicited a number of strong emotions. It's created tension within the overall fan base. At the same time, I don't think anyone necessarily wants their life or their career to be defined by the mistakes that they've made. And our view with Deshaun is we see someone who's been committed and will continue to be committed to a very long process of personal growth. And that's something that we believe that we can support him in. And we do think that he's an individual based on our experiences with him over the past few months and the work that we did on the front end that can have a really strong impact on the organization on and off the field over a long period of time.
And how do you reconcile the fact that he just said he's never done anything wrong and he stands on his innocence when you talk about he needs to be better and you think he's going to get better?
Yeah, Scott, I think, quite honestly, the process, the journey for personal growth, it's a process. It's not something that's going to be immediate, but it is something that we believe will happen over a long period of time.
You feel he has to recognize?
Let me say one thing. I think, and we met Deshaun for the first time down in Houston in March, and it was an interview of sorts, okay, not a couple-hour interview. And we got a little bit of a feel for him then. He came into the building, and you helped me out mid-April. We've seen him grow over the last 4 or 5 months, and I think we've seen him recognize some things that he wished he'd done differently, some positions he wished he had not put himself into. He's been very open to counseling and seeking help, and we anticipate that growth continuing going forward. And I base that on his track record prior to these events, which is exemplary. You go to Gainesville, Georgia, you go to Clemson, South Carolina, you go to Houston prior to this, and I'm not at all minimizing this, but it's outstanding, and our experience with him in the building has been the same way.
Jimmy.
Yeah, and let me add a little bit, Mary Kay. And counseling takes time. You don't just go to a counseling session and wake up and understand the impact it has. I think it's a layering effect. It takes weeks, months, a long time to get to where you understand so much more about yourself. And I think Deshaun has made progress from the time he came here till now. He's making progress, but it's not going to happen overnight. He's 26 years old and he's just getting into counseling. I think it's going to take some time.
Are you suggesting that maybe...
You guys, Jimmy and Dee, with Deshaun Watson standing on his innocence, do you stand by his innocence and believe that he is innocent of anything that wrongdoing in those rooms?
I think, again, we respect his opinion. I do think in counseling, Deshaun will grow to learn a lot more about himself.
Dee, are you saying that maybe he doesn't realize he did something wrong?
I think if you know anything about counseling, it takes a long time to go through that process. And You can talk to the experts, but he's doing the work. He's committed to doing the hard work to make himself a better person. I think he said that several times, that he's committed to doing that.
Hey, Andrew, I agree with Jimmy. It's a really good football team, but 11 games is a long time. Mm-hmm. Are you okay at quarterback, and are you open to getting help there if you didn't see it fit with a very competitive team?
Yeah, Jim. Number one, we brought in Jacoby. We feel very good about Jacoby. We like what we've seen throughout the spring. We like what we've seen throughout the summer. So we have a high degree of confidence in him. No different than any other position on the roster. We'll continue to evaluate our team, over the course of camp, but really pleased with Jacoby's.
Jimmy, could the suspension have been shorter if he had paid a heavier fine?
This was frustrating, but it is what it is. We're a side party. We don't participate. The
well,
negotiations.
You were brought in at the end because they got $1 million from you in contribution.
No, we were going to invest. We were going to invest in Northeast Ohio.
That had nothing to do with
We were starting that process before. It has nothing to do with
well, they
that.
announced it that you and the NFL.
Yeah, we
did.
We were going to do it anyway.
That did not impact the settlement at all.
Jimmy, what was the?
Trust me, I just want to clarify: the negotiations are between the players' union and the NFL. Okay, and we're a bystander.
Jimmy, what was the basis for saying in a statement the other day that Deshaun was remorseful when he continues to say he didn't do anything wrong, and then on top of that, Robinson said that she found that he showed no remorse or little remorse in her investigation and assessment of what happened.
So, Jake, what's the question?
What makes you say that he's remorseful?
Well, because we're around him every day, and he said he's remorseful.
He didn't say that until just the day of that Jacksonville.
I think I said it pretty well, is that this counseling is a process, and it's going to take some time for him, the layers and the layers upon getting there, and we feel like he's making progress, and with us, we have seen that.
And let me say one other thing, too. He was also involved in civil litigation during that time period, too, okay? And so a lot of what held Deshaun back was he was counseled by his attorneys not to say anything, okay?
How do you win back the fans who have turned their back on the organization because of this whole trade and scenario with everything that has involved Deshaun Watson?
We have unbelievable fans, okay? And the fan support, do you come out here to practice every day? The fan support has been outstanding. Our ticket sales are great. Our corporate support's outstanding. We're not naive enough to think that there are some people who disagree with that. It's our hope that over a period of time we'll win them back.
Andrew, in terms of the suspension,
this doesn't happen
can
again.
he keep playing and practicing, and what happens during the 11 games?
Yeah, our understanding is that the suspension would take effect at the start of the regular season. I think it's collectively bargained that guys can kind of get back into the building after the first half is completed, but all of that's governed by standard rules for any suspension.
Andrew, you and the Haslams talk about this has affected a lot of people, specifically women. To show us that transparency is the best option, how will you handle Watson's massage therapy sessions moving forward? Will it be a male or female, and what's the plan in place?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, in terms of the soft tissue work and massages, that's something that we've had a plan in place since the start of the transaction. That's not something that's new now, because year-round athletes need that type of soft tissue work as they train and prepare for the upcoming season. So that's something that's already been implemented in place for the past several months.
Is it a male or female?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into those specific details, but it's something that we feel good about and we think is the right.
Jimmy, is it fair to say it's team approved?
Correct.
Jimmy, knowing what you know now, would you go back and do this all over again?
Absolutely.
Hey. So you have no qualms about making someone of questionable character to face your franchise?
Here's what I think is that I think in this country and hopefully in the world, people deserve second chances, okay? I really think that. And I struggle a little bit. Is he never supposed to play again? Is he never supposed to be part of society? Does he get no chance to rehabilitate himself? And that's what we're going to do, okay? And you could say, well, that's because he's a star quarterback. Well, of course. But if he was Joe Smith, he wouldn't be on the headlines every day. So we think people deserve a second chance. We gave Kareem Hunt a second chance, okay? And that's worked out pretty well, okay? we're hoping this will work out, and we have strong belief it will. That doesn't mean we don't have empathy for people affected, and we will continue to do so. But we strongly believe people deserve a second chance. We believe Deshaun Watson deserves a second chance.
He was booed loudly in Jacksonville. Boos are one thing. Are you concerned that, I mean, that could be death threats, all that kind of stuff especially when his first game back is in Houston?
You know, I hope the conversation comes to what can we do going forward to get the information out to help other people. And I think there's just a huge opportunity to talk about the major issues in our country in this area, such as sex trafficking and massage parlor use, etc. There's so much information that we can glean from this, and the opportunity is tremendous. So we can continue to talk about Deshaun, or we can talk about the major issues our country face and make a difference.
Jimmy was talking about the fans who have been here, and they've been very supportive of Deshaun. What about the people who are not here? I think collectively we've talked to probably hundreds of them who feel like they're angry that you've, with this move, kind of taken their team from them. They don't feel like they can cheer for this team right now. What is your message to those fans?
My hope is that using this platform to talk about how we are in the business of preventing this happening to other young men and women. How can we move forward as a country in so many areas that we tend to ignore? So this isn't about Deshaun, and I hope those women will get involved in actively participating in programs that educate people so that we can move to a different place.
Jimmy, does this suspension change your expectations for the team this year?
Now, look, we still have 17 games to play. We think we have a number of talented players and coaches that are in that locker room. Our expectation is still to have a competitive team and go out and try and win every game.
And I never did get an answer to that question. Are you concerned, especially when you go on the road, about the treatment, other than boos that Deshaun could face?
Look, I think that's all going to be part of it. Fans are certainly entitled to express themselves as they see fit. That's something that is going to be part of it, and that the team is going to have to deal with. But they're going to be focused on playing the game and obviously doing what we need to do on the field.
Andrew, Jacoby Brissett around Deshaun every day, and you say you've seen things from him. Besides counseling, I guess what makes you confident that he's going to be able to move past this and contribute like you guys are saying you think he can?
Yeah, we do see an individual who, as he's been with us, has been committed to the process of personal growth, both in terms of, like Dee mentioned, with counseling. We've seen someone who's been a fantastic teammate. We've seen someone who's had leadership abilities with our players and our staff, and we see someone who genuinely wants to integrate into our community and have a positive impact. We understand that there's been a lot of, like I said, tension, conflict, emotion, with this transaction, and understandably so. But we do also have strong belief that as Deshaun navigates this journey and as we support him organizationally, that he will be able to have an outside impact over time in our community like he did in Houston and Clemson and Gainesville.
Andrew, is Jacoby Brissett your starting quarterback for the first 11 games, or will you consider other starting quarterback options?
We have a lot of confidence in Jacoby. We've seen him play in Indianapolis, Miami. We've seen him here on the practice field. I think he's had a really good camp. So we have a lot of confidence there. We do.
Has this whole saga added stress and more challenge to the head coach of this team?
I think this is a unique trade, Tony. So I think it's obviously created a lot of noise. It's elicited a lot of strong emotions, and yeah, it's brought a lot more to Kevin's plate than you would see necessarily in a typical off season. But we have a really strong leader at the helm of our team. I think he's handled this well. I think the team is doing well in their preparations for the upcoming season, and we're looking forward to 2 really quality joint practices against a really good opponent with the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, that's a wrap. Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good job.
power, caught up in his quirks, whatever they are, kinks, and he acted on them. A lot of people do that. But the people that I've talked to said, this isn't a guy you have to worry about being a bad guy in the community. He's not that guy.
Here's the only thing I'll say. It's 6 weeks. He's going to be working out on his own, right?
Yeah,
he's going to need treatment.
He will.
If he's not allowed in the facility, he's not allowed. What can the Browns send one of their therapists to him? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. This is
No,
not.
you bring up a fair point.
This is not a normal situation.
You're
I think
right.
those 6 weeks when he's working out, he will need treatment in those 6 weeks
Yeah.
if he's working out on his own. If he's doing,
You know,
these
I
things.
always try to keep it positive. So I'm trying to think like from here on out, he's going to be a great citizen and he's going to win all kinds of games for the Browns. So I'm not allowing my mind to go there because, Jason, here's the thing. If there is another incident, it's over.
It's over.
It's done.
His career is probably
His career is over.
So if you're the NFL and you understand this and you're a league, why would you leave that up to chance? Well, you're the Cleveland Browns, you would say, yes, he's going to be on his own in 6 weeks. Is there someone that he can have
a team-appointed
doctor,
therapist?
There has to be an arrangement that's being made.
I said when this trade went down, every massage has to be at the facility by a team-sponsored or team-approved therapist with somebody else in the room.
An
every
agent
time.
friend of mine, he's a baseball agent, doesn't know the NFL world as well, but a baseball agent told me that perhaps a scenario would be, because he has clients that do this very thing, they have personal masseuses on staff. So they pay them an annual salary. And I asked what that number is, and he goes, it varies. I've got one guy that pays someone over 6 figures, and it's an on-call thing.
Yep.
The agent friend of mine said, wouldn't be a bad idea for Deshaun's team to vet someone to make sure that this isn't somebody who's going to try to get rich. There would be in that situation, like there are in many personal employment situations, an NDA agreement.
Yeah.
Now, before you go thinking, oh, no, we can't have that, a lot of NDAs exist between employer and employee, particularly when it's one person, it's not a corporation. If that might be something that he explores. He's got the money. He can pay someone a healthy number. This person is basically responsible for Deshaun massages whenever he needs them.
Yep. And that's
that might not be a bad.
And that's all you
is
go
it.
to.
And that might not be a bad idea. I don't know if they've discussed that. I don't know if this is something that his agent has thought of. I don't want to say that it's common in the baseball world, but I know that there are some guys that do that very thing. Whether or not anybody has that arrangement in the NFL, I don't know.
There has to be certain guardrails put in place by the league and Deshaun Watson so he can do things that are conducive to him performing his job.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that's imperative for him to do his job.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know that there's that piece in there about the massage therapist and it has to be team approved. I think if the Browns went to the league and said Deshaun's put someone on payroll and they're approved by us,
No,
I'm sure
they
the
don't
league,
even need to do that. He's got to use the person there, shut the hell up, and take the massage from that person.
But
That's it.
He's not going to be there for 6 weeks.
Oh,
I got my next question, by the way.
Okay.
So he's making his debut, assuming everything goes smoothly, against the Houston Texans. Now, we had seen reports earlier that the NFL was adamant about not letting him play in that Houston game. Do you think there was any settlement movement or negotiation room to make it 11 games so he could play against Houston, or was that just a number you think they just agreed upon? And playing Houston had
I think the NFL loves these playing against Houston.
Sure, just like they love that the Browns are opening against Carolina.
I don't think the NFL does love it, because if they did love it, that would have been the Sunday night game. If they wanted to draw more attention to it,
that game can be flexed into a Sunday night game.
It's not going to be. They're leaving that. I think they put that at 1 o'clock for a reason. They wanted to draw as little attention to that.
What I'm saying is NBC has the right after, I think it's week 12, to flex games into the Sunday night slot. So that is still possible that happens.
Theoretically, you just don't think it's going to happen.
And by the way,
why wouldn't they have just gone to 12?
You know how it happens? It happens if the Browns are 7-4, and by some fluke of all flukes, the Texans come in at 8-3.
I still don't think they do.
I don't know, man. You know what the league loves more than anything? Ratings.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Money.
But I just think that they're trying to draw as little attention to that game as possible, which it blows my mind.
When LeBron came back here,
That was different. That was different.
I mean, it got nasty though. They was throwing stuff.
Yeah, but LeBron wasn't accused of being a sexual predator.
I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, there's going to be times where you're an athlete, you go into crazy venues. It is what it is.
Sure, and when guys go back to places where they used to play, of course they always make a big deal about it. This is completely different. I don't think the league's trying to draw more attention to it. I think they're trying to draw it. I can't believe. I still, of everything we've discussed, I can't believe his first game back is at Houston.
That is blowing your mind.
Blows my mind.
Go play. I don't think nobody in the locker room.
You think Jacksonville was hostile?
Oh my God,
baby.
You know, the league
I don't think it's
loves
going to be hostile in Houston because I think there's going to be no fans there because they're going to stink.
Oh, they'll
I think
be
it's
there.
going to be all Browns
I
fans.
think they're all. It's an event now. Even
who
if they're
cares?
2-9, it's an
Hostility
event.
is part of the game.
I know, but
Yeah.
the league loves storylines.
Yes.
And oftentimes, you know, if you look at historically the greatest storylines ever, the Manning brothers facing off against one another in a Super Bowl, the Harbaugh brothers facing off in a Super Bowl. These are these storylines that are too good to be true, and they always seem to happen. And I had said even before the schedule was announced, when we did our hypothetical best game one, worst game one scenarios, mine was both the Panthers. And I just don't think that it's a mistake. I think people at the league understand. They knew where Baker Mayfield's likely landing spot was. I'm not going to give them credit for putting the Texans at week 12.
Right.
Because I think that's just insane. That's just this wild, oh my God, happenstance thing that happened. But the league loves and capitalizes on storylines.
We'll see if that game gets flexed. I would be stunned if that
As an
gets
employee
flexed.
of an NBC affiliate, I sure as hell hope it's flexed.
And I can tell you guys that is in the window that flexing is.
Flexing
available.
I think is that week.
It's week
it's-
11, so it's 2
Oh,
weeks
okay.
before.
So yeah, that's actually week 12. You're right.
It'd be crazy for them not to. If I'm an executive, hell yeah.
Yeah, I
put it on.
But question, real quick.
But if the Texans are 1-10,
Yeah, you don't flex if the Texans are
No.
1-10 and the Browns
In
are
fact,
3-8.
If the Browns are 6-4 or 6-5, 7-4, I think it gets flexed unless the Texans haven't won. You know, like otherwise, if it's a big, meaningful game for the Browns, you have to understand this has been the biggest storyline of the offseason. When does it finally get paid off? When he steps on the field again. When does that happen? Just by chance at Houston.
Can I throw this out here too? We haven't even talked about this. The Cleveland Browns are now the villains in the league.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
They are now more hated than the Patriots. The
Are they?
Steelers?
Are they
Yes.
more
Oh
hated
yes.
than the Patriots?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
For right now?
For right
yes.
now.
Patriots haven't done anything in a
It's
couple
as
years.
hot. It's as hot as it's gonna be. When I was hearing what they said in Jacksonville, see, y'all got to get
It's
used
great
to
when you're the villain. Means you're worthy of,
well,
of conversation.
well, LeBron said it's kind of hard carrying that if that's not who you are.
It depends on how you're built.
Your
That's
personality.
exactly it.
And there's some people on this team that ain't never been booed before. The Browns have been the lovable losers for a long time. At least outside, they may give us crap about the owners. They give us crap about some of the stuff that happens at our river or whatever. But as far as the fans go, the fans have been known as, you guys cheer for a team that's garbage. You deserve better. Now, that's all flipped. You're going to have to defend when you go to the bar. You're going to have to defend when you wear your colors. When they see them, if you got a Deshaun Watson jersey, please understand that it's something that comes with that, fair or unfair. And I don't know if people are here are willing to do that. I
Or
think
if they're ready for
or were they ready for that?
Well, you better get ready because that's anywhere on the
coming.
road with that jersey.
It's
Imagine,
coming.
especially the Watson jersey specifically.
Cincinnati and Pittsburgh in particular, Baltimore too. I
Crazy.
mean, those are always tough. They're
Yeah.
going to be more difficult.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there won't be a road game this year where the fan base isn't a little more fired up about it because Deshaun Watson is coming to town.
That's it.
And
Part of
before
the
he
deal.
plays, it's because the Browns.
Are you a winner or a loser? If you're a winner, you handle it. If you're a loser, you can't.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a lot. There's a lot of pressure on just from him coming
You
back.
said LeBron didn't like it, which okay, fine, but he just still did plenty of winning when he was the enemy.
Yeah,
Not that year.
It was miserable for
Yeah.
him.
Not that year.
That
he
year
didn't
was
win.
tough.
But he was still the enemy the next 3 years.
No, that was
Not
that
as
first
bad.
year.
It does settle
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
And you know
So-
what? I think for Deshaun Watson, year one is going to be the worst.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it'll get gradually better. Remember when Roethlisberger came back, guys? I hate the Steelers and I have no use for them, but there were times where I almost couldn't watch what that team and what that player had to go through. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
Kobe.
And Kobe the
the
same
Kobe,
thing.
yeah, the
Kobe
Kobe
same thing.
joint.
But I also say that I thought it was worse right away, and as time goes down, those things tend to the temperature
change.
comes down
Ben
with
got
it.
a hero send-off.
He did.
And,
did.
And Kobe, God rest his soul, nobody talks about that anymore.
Nobody.
Never.
It never comes
And
up.
I think there's a large portion of this that has to do with winning.
For sure.
If they don't win, it's going to get worse. Like it'll tamp down if he wins and the Browns are great and they're going on to playoff games and hopefully.
Yeah, but it'll go
fine.
through the roof if he's ever in a Super Bowl. then it's going to be the number one storyline again.
Astros got booed in the beginning with the cheating scandal.
But if he's bad or he's not,
then he's going to.
Then it's going to trickle down to the people that are here, because there's a large contingency of people here that, at least we agree. When I say large contingency, there are some people that if you asked them and polled them, are they happy about the deal or I got to wait and see? There's about 50% that ain't happy or they need to wait and see what Deshaun does moving forward, right? Would you say about 50%?
I think that's a big number. I think more fans believe that this is still the right move and they're going to be okay. There's a large part of the fan base
I gotta wait and see.
that is saying, I hope he's that guy.
Yes. But if he's not,
you know what killed me? I still heard people on Friday night and Saturday morning that were literally saying, yeah, how about that Watson move? And I said to them, I'm like, wait, are we going to judge it on 5 passes?
Really? That was it was a lot.
I had my baseball game Saturday, and I knew it was going to be the hot topic, not only in my dugout, but also with the players on the other team.
They waited you out.
I get on second base in the first inning, and the shortstop comes up to me, and the first thing he said was, Jay, that deal's looking like a stinker now, isn't it? Now, these are my opponents. I'm in the middle of a game. I'm not going to tell him to go fly a kite. But I literally looked at him and I said, that's what we're judging him on?
Really?
We're going to decide if this was a good deal or not? If on 5 preseason passes?
They got with Jay right after he got his duffel bag.
Hey, listen, it hits me wherever I go.
What I would have said is, were you born a moron, or did you just do drugs and become a moron along the way?
But you know how it is. This society now is so reactive. They just want to make decisions right now. I don't have all the facts on Deshaun Watson, but he's a rapist. Because there was people that said that.
He did.
And then even when they had more information, they glom on to the things that fit their narrative.
Right. And we've decided to clump everything together.
Yeah, so anybody that said right off the bat after Friday, well, that was a wasted $230 million.
Al Franken was run out of the Senate for touching a woman's hair. Run out of the Senate for touching a woman's hair.
That is crazy,
crying out loud.
Go ahead.
So we didn't get to do top 5 earlier, and we're not going to do top 5 traditionally as we had planned, but we do have to give Roundstone a little shout out because they are still a sponsor of the show.
Yeah.
So the Ultimate 5 is sponsored by Roundstone Insurance. Roundstone offers a better alternative for affordable quality health care for more than a decade. Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money, an average of 20%. 20%? How about you contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too.
I got nothing for Roundstone.
Yep, so here's the top 5 today.
I'm too focused on Deshaun Watson. Roundstone, I love you. I love that you're in Lakewood. I got nothing. I haven't even shaved all week.
We got to give them something. So I give them Roundstone Cowboy.
Today's top 5 is...
I can barely hear Mike. I don't know what's going on.
I'll translate Mike's comment.
Today's top 5 is just a 1. It's the ultimate 1.
It's
the
one.
ultimate conspiracy theory about today's Deshaun Watson announcement.
Okay.
This would be great.
Baker Mayfield was named a starter 35 minutes before this whole news broke.
No.
Has anyone felt more upstaged in their life than Baker getting his starting job?
That news came out last night. I saw
that
it last night.
That news came out the day the trade was made.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great point.
The day the trade was made, we knew who the starter was.
If anybody for 1 second thought that Darnold was going to beat out Baker in Carolina, you're not paying attention.
He would have had to have his leg and both arms cut off.
Yeah,
for Sam to win that battle.
But it is a hell of a conspiracy theory, McNuggets.
I'm just
Nobody
saying.
cares that Baker's starting. He's a mediocre quarterback that doesn't move the needle. Let's stop.
I
know everybody cares here.
Oh, he moves the needle. He's a mediocre quarterback, but he moves the
needle. He don't move the needle anywhere else.
Oh, I'm not sure. I think everywhere he moves the
Yeah,
needle.
you know what? He's that guy, man. He's polarizing. Here's what you when you're doing sports radio or in this format, you write about and talk about the lightning rods.
Yeah.
Because, like one of the things we most hate, Bull, you and I, and Jason, you too, is when we talk Guardians. You just see our numbers start to immediately go down. I don't understand that, but you can't deny it. It's science. Our audience is measured to the viewer, and they just go down. But it's the same thing with Baker Mayfield. You don't have to love him. You don't have to hate him. But most people have a hot opinion on him one way or the other. So when we're talking about him, they're interested.
The headline is, here's the thing. People don't like the Browns because some people like Baker. So if you look at this season, the whole entire season, you are going to either be led or somewhere near the lead when it comes to the Browns, right? Because Kevin Stefanski's front row and center. They're going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. They're going to talk about Jacoby Brissett and when he need to go. And then they're going to also run the simultaneous storyline that Baker Mayfield is doing this over here.
Can I talk to Myles Garrett for a second, please?
Sure.
Would you guys mind?
Yeah.
Can you follow?
Can we
Myles
get 95
Garrett.
on the horn?
Listen to me. Myles Garrett, I know for a fact that G and I are Myles Garrett's two favorite sports people in this town. Is that correct, G?
I'd say so.
We have that on good authority. We have that on good authority. Let me tell you something, Myles, because I know you love me and I love you too, buddy.
God, I hope he wasn't catfished.
Here's the assignment I have for you, my friend. You need to break Baker in half. Opening
The
day.
hate is so
break
over the
him
top.
in half. And I don't mean like kill him. I don't mean
Just break
injure
him in
No,
half.
if you
I
break
don't
him in
mean
half, he's dead.
I don't mean injure him permanently. I just mean like
Break him in half.
Spilling my
break
coffee.
him in half.
I just
All
spilled
right.
my coffee.
I expect not two. I'm like LeBron with the rings.
Not three,
two,
not four.
not three, not four. I want 5 freaking sacks.
That didn't work out well for LeBron,
Okay.
so be careful.
That's all right. Well, LeBron's won plenty of rings. And Myles Garrett, 5 sacks. You see this? 5. I want 5 sacks on opening day.
Can
I want Baker Mayfield to wake up in the middle of the night on Sunday and have nightmares about you breaking him in half.
I had someone
Get it
ask
done.
me last week, did Baker mess around with somebody in Bull's family? Like, they said.
Not that I know of.
They told me flat out.
Yeah.
There's a reason for the hate. I don't know what it is, but
We're gonna
something
find out.
really personal
We're gonna
happened.
find out.
Nothing personal
Nothing
happened.
personal. Because a
Nothing.
lot of people used to ask me with Skip,
Yeah.
what was the deal with LeBron? Like, does he really hate him that much? Did LeBron do something to one of his family members or to him? Well, the ironic thing about that is, and we talked about Skip's podcast last week, or maybe earlier this week, he did an entire episode, which is fascinating, on his relationship with Charles Barkley.
I didn't see that one.
Let me tell you,
I
you won't
didn't
be
see
able to
that one.
blink. You will not be able to blink. It's fascinating. But
So
here was
nothing
the
happened
crux of it.
personally.
Nothing happened personally.
Nothing.
However,
Yeah.
Skip goes into the relationship and why Charles tells people. Charles told me, I asked Charles at an All-Star game once, can you come in studio and come on the show? He said, I would, but I'd leave in handcuffs. And I thought he was joking, and I laughed, and he goes, no. I'm not kidding. When I see him, and he can't run from me forever, I will kill him.
On site.
Wow.
And
Well,
I
I don't
couldn't
wanna kill
understand
Baker,
it. And so I said,
but,
why? So Skip, and he'd made other death comments about Skip. In the podcast I'm talking about, Skip literally gives his side of the story of why Charles hates him so much. And it's an unbelievable, fascinating backstory. And it was on a personal diss, a slight, that Skip gave Charles, and he's never forgotten it.
Which is lame, but
But
no.
you have such hatred for Baker that I have had a lot of people ask me.
Yeah, it's funny.
What, did
I
they
mean,
get in a fight on the air once?
No. I think it's the people around. It's the people who support Baker, right?
Those people
Well, that shouldn't impact your
It's
feelings.
the same reason I hated Tebow, because his hanger, like the people that love him are so
But you
freaking
understand
annoying.
that Tim Tebow's probably the least hateable person on the planet.
Which is them. I never understood why they hated him.
I mean,
never
he did
quite
almost.
got
He
it.
was about to speak at some inappropriate rally once, but he did back out of it at the last
Well,
second. So that's good.
if you've read his book,
Yeah.
or if you ever,
I won't read his book.
doctors told his parents, I know
Yeah.
you won't, because you don't want to open your mind to the idea of what kind of person he could be.
even
But,
know,
but let me
because
just tell you this.
I'm not
Doctors
interested in-
told Tim
Go ahead.
Tebow's parents,
Yeah.
we're going to abort. We're going to abort. The young man has a hole in his heart.
Yeah.
If he lives, it would be a painful experience for both you and the father. It will never have a substantive life. He likely wouldn't see his first birthday. Well, you can maybe now understand why he might have such strong feelings on certain issues.
No, well, whatever, but I'm not interested. You know,
Whatever.
Whatever. I know the reason I say
Jay,
that is
my
because-
theory is believe whatever you want, just don't force it down my throat.
No, I know, but
So-
if you're going to
and don't make
attack
decisions,
somebody
and
for their
religion
beliefs,
shouldn't make decisions for other people in the law.
Don't we got that Mike
religion
Pope
should be a
golf book?
non-factor in the law.
Where's
That's
the
how
golf
it should
book?
be.
Maybe
I
we
got
can-
another
But anyway,
question.
I agree with that.
But
another question?
the bottom line is, I don't actually personally hate Baker as much as it seems. I just get angry and fired up, so it seems like I hate him even more
But it's
than I
not
do.
an act. people,
It's not an act.
I've had a couple people ask me,
No.
it's an act, right? And I go, oh, no.
No, I don't do act. I don't do that.
The bull is real, and there is real venom there.
I dislike Baker a lot. I can't give you one particular reason. It's a combination of things that I feel about him.
And look, that's your right. That's your right.
He came off very entitled. I don't really wish harm on him. When I say break him in half, I'm exaggerating.
I know.
I don't wish him to die or get seriously hurt.
Because I do know that you're a big-hearted person.
I am a big-hearted person.
And I don't really think that
but when I get when there's somebody that I don't like, I can go over the top sometimes.
Yeah, you can.
That's
I've
me.
seen it.
But I keep it real, so that's all right. I'll live with it. And if you get mad at me because of it, I'm fine with that.
We got a couple more questions here, but first, we are taking the pulse of the internet here. And
I saw you put a poll up. What are the results?
Anthony, what were the results of the poll of if you would redo the
the
trade?
results was, would you still do the trade?
Would you still do the trade?
I'm going to say it's going to come in a high 80s, 90 percentile.
It was close to 80% people would still take it.
That's where I would have guessed.
The main pulse of the internet right now, though, Steve, let's take tag board, is that Jimmy Haslam and Deshaun Watson did themselves no favor. They did themselves no favor.
That's our boy Sir Yacht.
Our boy Sir Yacht was in studio. Let's take the other one, Anthony. This was another funny meme we saw.
Oh, man.
Tough look. They did not help themselves. But my next question to you guys, I got two more before we finish.
That's a great picture.
Is this the biggest win for the NFLPA over the NFL? Maybe ever?
It's not a win.
I can't say it's a win.
It's not a win.
No. Because guess what? They still don't got no guaranteed contracts,
right?
And they still, if another one of y'all get in trouble, you about to get that indefinite suspension. Please understand that, because now they got a case that says, you know what? Here's the precedent.
I'm glad
we told
you said
don't
that.
play with me.
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to bring this up today and I'd forgotten about it, but your comment right there brings it back. That chip that the NFLPA didn't have to play is still in their hands.
Yep, they still got it.
They're still holding an ace. And that is, you better watch out because we're going to at some point throw this lawsuit card and get discovery for all these other issues.
Yes.
So even though they didn't play it here.
But the league is sweeping up, though.
Yeah,
they're sweeping it up. They got.
No, they're trying to.
They're trying to.
They're trying
let's
to.
go ahead.
What did Sue Robinson say? This is the best I can do given your jacked up system.
That's
well, now
exactly
the NFL
right.
can
They're
say
trying to fix
now
it.
it's 11.
Yeah.
That's
Gee, would
the
you buy
precedent.
your kid, which you don't have a kid yet, but would you buy, and by the way,
that's a good question.
Shout out to my buddy Anthony Lima. You guys all know Anthony Lima. Yeah. His wife had a baby today.
Oh, congratulations. A little Lima.
The baby's doing well.
Awesome.
And
boy or girl?
It's a girl. I have her name. Hold on. I forgot her name. It's Isabel June Lima. How about that? She looks great. His wife's doing well. So
congratulations.
Congratulations.
But if you had a kid right now, would you buy your kid a Deshaun Watson jersey?
Sure, why not? I'll give you the reasoning behind it, right?
Yeah.
I always tell I don't have children, but the way my parents taught me and treated me was, we give you what your moral compass should be, right? We give you what the way we steer you. So that jersey, it has nothing to do with my soul. Like that jersey is outward. It's like I wear the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't know what Gordon Gunn was doing. I don't know what Dan Gilbert do, right? I'm wearing it because it's a T-shirt and it's representing.
You're a fan.
Team. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I would teach my kids that, look, outside of who we are, your father makes mistakes. I done did some crazy stuff. Everybody will. The goal is that you don't make the same decisions, and hopefully I could teach you to stray away from certain things like that. Yeah. So I wouldn't put too much.
Put it to you. If your son came home tomorrow.
And I'm in a situation where your kids are, although your youngest is.
No, my 12-year-old is all about jerseys.
Yeah,
he's
that's the age. That's the age.
With your 12-year-old and my son who's 9, they're at an age still, even still at 12, where you have to, I've had some interesting conversations with my son because he asked me about, was never that interested. He likes to play sports, not football, but he likes to play other sports. He was never really interested in watching or learning that much about
even
sports.
now?
He wasn't.
Okay.
That has changed. He got into it last year when the Bengals made their playoff run.
Right.
And he likes, like with baseball, he likes the Cubs and the Guardians. With football, he likes the Bengals and the Browns too. But he got into the playoff run. He watched every game with me in the playoffs, including the Super Bowl. So now he's into it. Last night, he comes into my room and he's like, Daddy, teach me players. Teach me about all the players. I want to know the good players on every team. And he was naming NFL teams, and I was telling him the good players on those teams. So he's wanting to take more in. Sure. And a couple of times he's asked me about Deshaun Watson. And obviously I don't go into explicit details about what happened.
Right.
I'm very careful about how I discuss it. I basically have said, hey, Deshaun Watson did something. with women that was not appropriate.
Has been accused. Of
Right. Well, I'm just telling you what I said. I said I didn't say accused because I'm not on the air and I'm not. I said to him he did things that were inappropriate. What he did is not the worst thing in the world, but it's not good, and that's how. And I said I think he should be allowed. He's like, how many games do you think he should spend it for? I said I thought the 6th game was fair anyway, but we've had to have some interesting conversations. I think in the end, though, if he really wanted a Deshaun Watson, like I got him a Joe Burrow. Not jersey because they were sold out by the time I tried to get it. But I got him a Joe Burrow T-shirt. I'm actually going to take him to a game in Cincinnati.
Right.
The Browns bye week. They happen to be playing Carolina that week.
Oh, nice.
So I want to get first row seats because I want to.
Well, you'll be there when Baker finally loses to the Bengals.
Right, exactly. So and he, but if he asked me for a Deshaun Watson jersey, I thought about this and I was kind of on the fence about it. But I think ultimately I would get it for him if you want. And
it's a good conversation piece.
It is a great conversation piece.
You can go into.
But let me make a parental suggestion to you because I've had to have these conversations with my son, who always wanted to wear Ohio State jerseys when we went to Penn State or Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And the conversations I would have with him before we went in was, are you prepared to hear things about you that aren't true from strangers based on the jersey you're wearing? Because that's going to happen. And
just
because
they don't like Ohio State.
Sure.
Nothing to do with it.
It doesn't matter.
I think it builds character. And let me tell you something. I grew up in New York City.
It does build character.
As a
You're
Cubs
right.
fan and a
he,
Bengals
by the way,
fan.
said, yes, I'm prepared for that. And he handled it like a pro.
Exactly.
And he was 12, 13 years old when it happened the first time.
But
I was proud of him.
I had to grow up in New York as a Bengals and Cubs fan. All right. And when I was a kid, nobody cared about the Bengals in New York because there was no rivalry with the Jets or Giants. But the Mets and the Cubs had a big rivalry when I was a kid.
Right.
In the early 80s, the Cubs got good. They started getting good at the same time. They had both been horrible franchises in the 70s and the very early 80s. And then in 84, they both got good. The Cubs got Sandberg. The Mets got Gooden. They both started getting good. The Cubs beat them for the playoffs. But it was a very contentious rivalry going back to the 60s. So anyway, people would bust my chops. When the Cubs blew, I don't know if I'm sure you remember, Jay. Cubs were up 2-0 on the Padres in the 84 NLCS.
Absolutely.
And they blew it. Like, my guys from school were busting my chops. And I thought it built a lot of character. I was never afraid to wear my Cubs T-shirts.
Right.
The only thing I don't wear my World Series Cubs T-shirt here because I don't want to rub it in
The only thing that's different in this scenario is it's fandom, and that builds character. And I was really proud at how my son figured out how to diffuse those situations. He would laugh at it, and he figured out at 12. He's like, you got to love your team. But this is a personal choice.
This is personal. You got daughters, right?
Yeah, I have a daughter.
Now, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, it is. And I had people say, how can you say what you've said about Deshaun? You have a daughter and all that. It's a lot of different conversations, but I'll just answer the Deshaun jersey. I will not buy my son a Deshaun jersey, not right now. There's plenty other fans. There's plenty other jerseys you can pick from.
Right.
You can have Nick Chubb, you can have Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
The scrutiny that we're talking about here is completely different than wearing a Browns jersey.
True, 100%.
Yeah. And
you're making a choice to represent that player.
It's just not necessary. They have enough pressure on them as 11 and 12-year-olds to fit in and everything else. That's just adding a factor that is just not necessary.
When you've got
and my kid's the biggest kid in the class, and he's really popular. But
right. You could buy a 24 jersey or a 21 jersey. Here's what I hate most about what we've done. Every second we spend talking about Deshaun Watson, we're not talking about Nick Chubb and Denzel Ward, who I got to tell you guys, if I had to pick someone for my kids to choose to look at as a role model, it's one of those two
Absolutely.
guys.
Sure. Absolutely.
And so to your point of there's so many other choices.
There's
or Myles Garrett.
We have a comment from Deshaun's agent that McNuggets just framed to me as being very strong.
It is quite strong. Steve, let's take the tag board here. This is from Deshaun Watson's agent. To be clear, Judge Robinson repeated the NFL's narrative. She received a brief from the NFL weeks before we had the opportunity to talk with her. In our first call with the judge, she referred to, quote, Deshaun's pattern of behavior. Her mind was made up before we ever presented a counter.
What is he doing? What is the point of this?
I don't understand this.
I don't understand Watson's comments. I don't understand why he said this.
It's over.
Let it go.
Let it go.
He can't win the
Jason,
PR game.
What do you think of that?
I think that I got to give them credit for they're going to die on this hill, man.
Yes, they are.
They are
I don't
not going to
understand.
budge.
What's the benefit to making that comment?
Well, I think they feel like it's over now, and
now they can
say
both barrels can be fired.
By the way, watch this. He did say when this is all over, I look forward to presenting.
He's not going to do it.
No, you're right. I thought the same thing. But Deshaun did say we're going to get our side of the story out there.
That's what he said that. Now, I didn't know it was going to be today.
What side could there be?
I thought,
and look, here's the
maybe
only
Chris.
There's no conspiracy here. Let's
I will
stop
say
with
there's
that.
one explanation, okay? And I'm not saying that this is reality. I'm saying there's one explanation for what we're seeing. Deshaun is so convinced that he is 100% a victim and did nothing wrong. And you guys could understand this. If you've ever been accused of something you did not do, you can't scream enough from the mountaintop, but I didn't do that.
Right.
I'm innocent. My only explanation for his lawyer and for Deshaun making the comments that they made today is Deshaun believes in his heart that he is 100% a victim and he did nothing.
But I think it's
wrong.
possible he didn't realize at the time he was doing something wrong.
Okay, but
he
now
would
he
have
does.
to know now.
Okay, then if you do, then be smart enough to not run your
but
trap
you have
and
to
have
know
your
now that
agent
he
be
crossed
quiet.
the line. You have to know it. There can't be a grand conspiracy. If it's one person, 2, 3, maybe. There's 24 some odd people. It can't be they all made this up. That's
I
impossible.
agree with you, and I think that's reality.
You know what the nuance is?
Yeah.
I think this is it's cut as dry as it is. I think he says, now 5 or 6 of these people they could have legitimate cases. Like because I was a little over the top with them, but I had 12 of these individuals who talked to me afterwards. We had consensual sex.
Yeah.
I took her out to eat. Like, he can't come out and say
Maybe
that.
so, G, but I wouldn't declare myself completely innocent if that were the case.
But after you hear it for so long, you just want to you want to get your stuff out. See, it ain't that crazy, but you look crazy when you say it ain't that crazy, right?
And I think he will get his side out.
Yeah.
Like, I know they all say that in due time and they never do. I think he will. I mean, there's plenty of
Do
evidence.
you think my scenario is accurate, that he firmly believes that he's innocent?
In some cases, there's 12 to 13 women. He says that's completely false. I had sex with them. They was down for it. We even have communications afterwards, and there was nothing wrong until they saw these people and they jumped on.
Yeah, but I think at this point, even if there was one, we would have decided that there was
right.
In his mind, he's acting to me like an innocent man. At least he thinks he's innocent.
I think in due time he will get his side. Like, he could do a Netflix
what could his
special.
side of the story be?
But I'm just saying
to believe he's completely innocent would be to believe that every single one of these
I'll
women
give
is
you an
making
example.
up a story.
I'll give you a scenario.
Have you
watched the Manti Te'o Netflix special yet?
No.
Watch it. Watch it.
I didn't know there was one.
I heard.
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
It's a 2-part series.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you from what the temperature inside ESPN was when that story was breaking. This guy's nuts. This guy's a liar. This guy exploited people. This guy's a terrible human being. His character was assassinated about as harshly as I've ever seen a college player's character assassinated. It was unbelievable. And you'll be reminded of how bad it was when you watch this. I would have discussions in producer meetings where I was trying to talk producers out of going on the air with certain things that was in the public view. Guys, we haven't heard from him yet. People get catfished. It happens. It's real.
Yeah.
When you watch this, you're going to have a completely different view of Manti Te'o.
He does have a side to tell. Deshaun does.
He does.
I mean, I sat there and read the transcripts.
Yes.
And
you knew a lot about it that we still don't know.
Of the therapist who treated one of the massage therapists on the stand, said by the end she didn't think the woman was being truthful.
That's exactly right. Were you ever allowed to? Did you ever write that?
I never wrote that.
It was never written.
For a variety
I
of
wonder
reasons.
if that now will be able to be revisited.
I don't know.
There's a lot of even the guy. The problem is you have people's family members saying that she told us verbatim.
Exactly. One woman's son said she wasn't a victim. She was thrilled to be in that. And so what I'm saying is, Bull, your question of what possibly can he put forward? If you would have asked the general public, and particularly sports fans who are following it every move, Manti Te'o was widely perceived.
I can't even remember all the details on that.
They said he was crazy.
He talked about his dead girlfriend in a post-game interview.
Yeah.
It was almost a flippant comment. I did this for my girlfriend who passed away.
There was no real girl. He got catfished.
He had been catfished. He didn't know it.
How did he
didn't know it. Well, believe it or not,
how do you call somebody a
there's
girlfriend
been a
when you never
show on
met them in person?
MTV that's been running for more than a decade.
I mean, I know that,
even
but
in
like
today's age of, FaceTime me if you're real. He had When you hear him tell his story,
Right.
I promise you will see that he was the victim.
Well, now it's a documentary, could be slanted.
Sometimes
too.
documentaries can lead you.
But to Jay's point, I did a K1 visa. Up to the point of I was getting ready to go on a plane and go there. My mother and father were skeptical, like
That she existed.
This not a real girl.
Right, and
that's
you would
possible.
be, especially because there have been so many cases of that happening, particularly with visas and bringing someone into the country. But in Manti Te'o's case, when you watch the documentary, I'm fascinated to hear your thoughts about it on the backside of it.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was one, so I will
it's
watch
a two-parter. It's on Netflix. It's like a couple hours. But you will be reminded of just how bad it was. And he was the butt of late-night comedian jokes. And this went on for weeks and months. And because it broke right, I think it was at the Heisman Trophy ceremony. The Heisman Trophy ceremony. But it carried all the way into the bowl game. This guy, it's amazing to me, he didn't commit suicide. And when you hear him talk about how traumatic this time was in his life. Now, guys, remember, what really got him in trouble was he did tell some lies because he was trying to keep his parents from finding out the truth because he was so embarrassed.
Right.
And so ultimately, and deeply religious, and there were a lot of components to it, but what really will strike you is the fact that this guy, for a period of time, was completely maligned by an early period social media and the actual legacy media. And they had made up their mind that this guy was a liar, a kook, a nut job, an idiot. All of these things, and that was the narrative on him.
But he did lie.
Now.
He did lie.
The lies that he told were nothing compared to what the lies they were accusing him of telling.
To bring it back to this, in the end, no matter what Deshaun Watson puts out there, the people that think he didn't get suspended enough and Rang will never change their minds, or at least most of them will never change their minds. And even if he could prove a few people exaggerated or took advantage of the situation, there's no way I can't ever see a way he can prove that all of them made this up, that there's some grand conspiracy. That's impossible for any reasonable person.
Mikey, what do you got?
We got one more question before we're going to wrap up today.
Okay.
We're coming back tomorrow with all the questions we haven't got to.
And CC.
And CC Sabathia and DeQuell Jackson.
Now,
we're going to have as many people as we can coming on to talk about this. But pretty quickly, we talked about how the Browns will fare with Jacoby Brissett for 11 games. We know Watson will be back for those final 6. Predict the Browns' final record when the 2022 season's over as the perfect way to wrap up this 2.5-hour UCSS
assuming
special.
Brissett plays 11 games.
Assuming Brissett plays the first 11, Watson comes back and plays the final 6.
Bull, you start.
So when I make a prediction, I imagine if the season was played 100 times, what scenario would end up most often happening?
Right. Smart way to do it.
And the scenario to me, unfortunately, because this would probably not make the playoffs, is that the Browns will finish 9-7. That's the most likely. 9-8.
Yeah, that's exactly
They will
where
go
I am.
5-6 with Jacoby, and 4-2 with Deshaun, which will put him in 9-8.
I was in the 9-8, 10-7
This is
range.
crazy.
That's exactly what I was.
9-8, man.
This is the first time all four of us have ever agreed on
anything in the history of this show.
Ever.
9-8.
That's the most likely scenario.
I'm with you 100%.
If Brissett plays 11 and Watson plays 6,
9-8.
do you
And
guys
that's
all
not a
have the
playoff
Brissett
team.
going 5-6 and Watson 4-2?
Yes.
That's what I had.
That's exactly what I have.
I'll tell you what, they better go 3-1 in those first 4 games.
They better.
They got to go 4-0.
They got
I think they need to go 4-0.
I don't think 4-0 is realistic. I think 3-1
I think it is.
realistic.
You always stub your toe
Somewhere.
Probably.
That's where that
And
9
if it's
come
week
from.
1,
Somewhere
yeah,
they gonna
I
get
know.
one.
if it's week 1, oh my God in heaven.
By the way, what if Brissett gets hurt? Then who's playing? Josh
The
Dobbs,
rocket
baby.
scientist, baby. Josh Dobbs.
Now remember, what's interesting is last year the team went 8-9 and there was a complete and total meltdown.
Yeah.
Like we got to start getting rid of people. The people wanted Stefanski out of town. People wanted Baker out of town.
9-8.
To be fair, they're legit. The Bengals were playing no starters in that last game because they had nothing to play for. So their legit record was 7-9.
You never apologize about a win in the NFL. You never apologize. You never apologize. Because I'll give you some games they lost they should have won.
No, but I'm stating facts. They played against backups in that game.
Well, also, when they all had their starters, they blew that same team off the field.
They did, but the Bengals were a much better team at the
All
end
right,
of the
who
year than they were.
cares?
Yeah,
Good
it's water under the
Lord.
bridge.
Hey.
Are we wrapping right now? Are we done?
We're done.
I
ya.
have a hunch that this was probably our most viewed show ever.
I will not say that on the air, but I'm not going to not say it's not.
Okay.
Well,
I'm just guessing because hopefully we're pushing live notifications.
We don't have to go live after this. It broke during the show.
I know, because we were all on standby, so we were like,
Yes.
this thing breaks at
I
3
could go
o'clock.
home.
So, real quick, this is
That's
our
a
most
great
viewed show.
point.
Our most viewed live show. So thank you to the
thanks to
large
our
number of
viewers.
people who did tune in today.
By
We've
the
been
way,
over-
Kevin Stefanski said Deshaun Watson will not play on Sunday against the Eagles.
All right,
But didn't rule out week 3.
He did not rule out
we
week
will break
3.
down all the Stefanski stuff. We got to save some stuff for tomorrow. We went
Sorry.
2
Okay.
hours on Watson. So
No,
we'll break
that's okay.
all the Stefanski stuff. We're going to get back into all Watson. We have CC Sabathia in studio.
Which is hot.
CC is great in all things. He's going to talk a little Deshaun,
How
too.
long is he in for? Half hour?
At least half hour.
Oh,
At
that's
least half
great.
an hour.
That's
we
great.
got DeQuell as well. And to everyone who checked out UCSS for the first time, hit that subscribe button.
Yes.
Trust that you are missing out if you're not. We break in live with any breaking news, whether it's via Restream, whether it's in here. We have you covered. We got post-game Brown shows coming. We got post-game Ohio State game
right.
shows coming. You are missing out on an opportunity for the
I'm
best
glad
Browns coverage
that,
if you're not
I
subscribed.
didn't want to put you on the spot when I asked you, was it our most viewed show? My hope was that it was. Guys, we should take a little victory lap because what that means is when breaking news is happening around the Browns, people came to us as a destination when they could have gone to any number of national outlets, any number of local outlets that for some reason are not legally bound when it comes to running live news conferences.
What time did the news break? 11:30?
11:40 something.
The release was dropped on the...
They put the thing on the website at exactly 11:30.
So for the other places that were able to carry the press conference, good for them. But you know what they also carried? About an hour worth of commercials. We didn't have any for the last 2
You're
hours.
exactly right. Nor do we on any
Nothing
day.
but content on
That's
this
right.
show. Our
And
commercials
that's
are
right.
in.
Various
Our
content.
commercials. We
Various.
love them. We love our advertisers and we want them to continue with us, but we make them part of the show, not a separate entity.
Yeah, not an interruption of the
That's
show.
right. Not an interruption.
And also, I want to congratulate all of you guys for we finally found common ground. The Browns are going to go 9-8 this year.
Look at that.
See you next year.
Hopefully we're wrong about that.
Yeah, that's not a playoff team. 9-8 is not a
All
playoff
right,
team.
we're out of time. We're taking a 21.5-hour break. We're back tomorrow to wrap up the week with CC Sabathia. Thank you so much for watching the Ultimate Fitness Sports Show. We will see you on Friday.